I grew up in a tiny little house. It was 2.5 bedrooms. There are 5 kids. I was the oldest of 5. My mom and dad worked in a glass factory. So you've got 2 parents that raised 5 kids. And they made sure that every one of those kids went through college. We all have nicer homes than my mom and dad lived in. And yet, every one of us, what we want to do is we want to still, as old as we are, is to go back to the roots and be with our family. That was one thing that we learned, is that how important and significant that was. And I know that when I, the first one to go through college, that when I knew what I wanted to do was I wanted to raise my children so that they could have it better than I had it. And when I think about my life in Mary Kay, that's kind of what I think that my role is right now. It was in 1988. I had been divorced, had 2 children. I was a single mom. I was teaching full-time. I was a high school English teacher. But it was going to be something for me. When I grew up, you became a nurse, you taught, you possibly, you might be a secretary, or you were a mom. But I always was intrigued by the idea of someone who would have their own business. Well, the lady that sponsored me into the company, oh my gosh, when she came, she was vibrant, she was energized, she dressed sharp, she looked good, she talked a mile a minute, and I kind of was intrigued, and I would come even a little early just to listen to her, watch her. And when I looked at her, she looked like somebody that was a businesswoman, which I knew I never had a chance at because I was the high school English teacher in a small rural community surrounded by well, it was actually by cornfields. But I waited for her to come, and I had a yellow legal pad, and I'd written down a lot of questions, and I watched her get out of her pink Cadillac and walk towards me in this sleek, sharp outfit with her heels and her little briefcase. And I watched her come up, and I thought, that woman, I don't know what this product is, but she sure looks good.
Okay, so I was in 6th grade when my mom came home from getting her nails done with a video about Mary Kay the business, and I remember that day forever, my sister and I watching the video with her, and then her deciding to start her business. Because right now I have a daughter who's in 6th grade, and she is the exact age that I was when my mom started her business. So I'm very aware of the fact that she's watching what's happening in our home, and I'm passionate about passing on the lessons that I've learned in Mary Kay to her and to my 2 sons.
My husband was, at the time, was actually on a business trip. So I decided to join. I made that decision, I signed my agreement, I made an inventory decision, I went to training, and I tried the product for the first time. He called me and said, where have you been the last 2-3 days? I haven't been able to get a hold of you. And I said, I've been thinking about joining Mary Kay. And he said, are you going through like menopause? Is something wrong? What are you talking about? When he came home, he actually had 2 pink pens, and he handed them to me. And he said, whatever you do, I'll support you. And I won my first car. And he truly became much more supportive after winning that car. And what I started to do as I did these 2 things was I let go of things that weren't as important to me. I have to be honest with you, I've never enjoyed cooking. It takes so much time, and you make a big mess. The people eat it really fast. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't, and then they leave, and they leave you with this mess that you have to clean up. And so what I would do is I really gave up cooking. I'm not going to say that my family gave up eating. I'm going to say that I chose to give up cooking, and I was very fortunate enough to have a husband that liked cooking. And another thing I did was it was real easy to give up cleaning the house. When I came in to the house, and it was incredibly clean, and I'd had nothing to do with it. It smelled clean, it looked clean. I could kind of check out in the angles and the corners. I said, better than sex, better than sex. That was my first thought.
What being part of the Martin National Area has meant to me is unconditional support, unconditional love, and unconditional belief. I think that sometimes just knowing that Jeannie believes in me is all that I need.
I didn't know what I needed from Mary Kay until my experience 10 years ago led me to this amazing circle of people that when I met Jeannie Martin, I didn't know that I needed a mentor that would make me think better about being a better person, and then I would transfer that to students and to people that I meet.
And I will tell you that Jeannie has been one of the most significant people in my Mary Kay career, but also in my life. We have shared so many goals and dreams, and what I love so much about Jeannie is that she invests in people. And yes, her area she invests in, but she invests in a lot of other people just because she cares so much about that individual and cares about where they go in Mary Kay.
I remember meeting Jeannie for the first time when I was a junior in high school. Her daughter Amy was my high school English teacher, and at that time in my life I just remembered thinking those are two women that I need to hold on to, and those are people that needed to be in my life. I just know that without them and their relationship in my life, that my life would be much different than it is now, and I wouldn't be able to be building a legacy that I can pass on to my daughter.
But what I was met with in this business is a woman who believed in me more than anyone else had ever believed in me, and who saw things in me that no one else had ever saw and I didn't see in myself, and that was Jeannie Martin. Called me at midnight, answered my phone at midnight, driven miles as I moved to another state to be with me, to work with my people. She has loved my family endlessly. She has rode the tide of life with me through the ups and the downs and the good and the bad and the ugly, and truly I know that I'm a better wife, mom, friend because of this experience, and her undying belief in people is something that I hope I can emulate a tiny, tiny bit of. And I've said this so many times that there's no one better at people skills, in my opinion, in this world than Jeannie Martin.
And you know, there's all different kind of reasons why you can join and why you can remain. We talk about people joining for a reason. Maybe they needed some money. We talk about people staying for a season. Maybe it's while their children are little, or maybe it's when their children are, they need money for the kids because they're involved in some extracurricular sports. And then there's people who stay for a lifetime. And I think that we hang on to people because they love to come to events and see what's going to happen. You know, today a young woman at the event kind of raised her hand, and she was just, it was comment time. And she said, you know, I've only been with the company but maybe 4 weeks. And she said, this is really the first event that I came to, but I've been involved in different businesses, maybe out in corporate America. And she said, and when I came here, I knew but two people, yet when I walked into this room, I was enveloped with the whole feeling of, please come in, you're so welcome. Can I get to know you? I want to know who you are. Tell me about you. She said, I've never felt this way at any other event, meeting that I've ever been to in my entire life. She wasn't speaking just to me, but she was speaking about our national area. And for me, that's my family. That's how my family has always been, I would say, I hope that that's what they do. New kid comes into a school. Where does he sit at lunch? Who does he sit with? Who's going to come up and talk to him, or is he going to have to go, or is she going to have to go find a place to sit down by herself? When I always think of that when I have people come in, and I used to teach my students, I would say, you know, we're a small school, and people, a lot of you have known each other since you were in kindergarten, and you're in high school now. When someone new comes in, it's hard to break into your groups. And I would say the same thing to my unit members. You know, some of you have friends you only see once a week. Some of you have team members that you want to talk to. Some of you have just developed friendships, but somebody's new's coming in. How's she going to feel? Oh, if I were going to say what's one thing One thing that I want to make sure that people would feel about this national area is that they are welcoming, loving, embracing, and looking to make people feel special and important. Sometimes people don't know that within them is a God-given leadership potential, and they've never been able to use it in other aspects of their life. When they join Mary Kay, when they become a part of a unit, a part of our national area, I hope that a example, a representation, an encouragement, an awareness kind of springs up where they say, you know, I think I could be a leader. When a woman can actually walk up to what she may consider to be another woman or a man who may be at a level that she might think equal to or above her, and she can actually look him in the eye and she can offer her handshake with assurance, and she feels good about herself. You know what? That's a step in the right direction, I would say. You're a member of the IT National Area. What defines us? Let me share our mission statement. It is to lead, coach, and mentor women to live their best life, internally, externally, and eternally. Hope I get to be a part of doing that with you. Welcome